Currently, we've embarked on a food waste to compost program where we basically take all of our cafeteria meals, any food waste generated, and we turn that into compost. So each month, we basically divert around 7,000 pounds of food waste from the landfill, and we're able to send that to a compost facility and get the compost back for our farm and garden areas. Basically, we have a hauler and they pick up our food waste. That's called smart recycling. They pick it up and then they take it to resoil.
Compost necessarily it's a complete ecosystem. It's a living soil. There are bacteria and fungi in the soil that not only protect plants from disease and from pests, but they also help the plants to absorb minerals and vitamins and water from the soil.
Then processes our compost, and about 3 months later we can go and pick up compost that's been generated from our food waste. And then we bring it back to our school to replenish our gardens and raised beds. And then I've also just been really surprised at our really small kids, just how well and how regimented they are with this program. They do a really good job. They get excited about it, and then they're actually teaching some of our older students, which is really exciting.
For us, we're thinking if one school, by the conclusion of 1 year long, can divert 40,000 pounds of food waste, can you imagine if one district did that, right? Multiply that by districts, just imagine the impact it will have for our earth. And then there are financial benefits. I mean, we're not spending as much money for can liners. People aren't coming out as frequently to dump our trash. I mean, so the benefits really outweigh any negatives that somebody could try to come up with. It's pretty awesome.
South Carolina, if kindergarten students can recycle and divert food waste from our landfill, can't you?
What's your breakfast?
Smart Recycling is an organic waste collection and hauling company. And we work with a variety of businesses, large and small. Anyone that generates food waste, we help them implement successful composting programs to provide the materials and education required to divert the organic material from the landfill. We come in as the hauler and haul that material to local composting facilities where they turn it into the finished product, which is the beautiful and nutrient-rich soil amendment compost. Composting creates a ton of jobs. On a per ton basis, composting sustains on average 4 times as many jobs as do landfills or incinerator disposals, other options of where to take your waste. And that's really because landfills and other incinerator disposals are a very linear trash cycle. Composting is a recycling industry, so we are taking the food waste, the yard scraps to the compost facility where that's not the end of its life. From there, it's turned into a nutrient-rich, value-added product that's bought and sold by a number of different markets that sustains jobs beyond those that are already being created at the compost facility, but also in a number of green jobs and industries that rely on the compost to do a number of things, not to mention local farmers who really rely on that product to grow the wonderful food that we're producing in South Carolina, serving in the restaurant industry. Restaurants that are composting are turning to new biodegradable, compostable serveware options. That's a whole industry in and of itself, the educational component. So the list goes on to the number of jobs that composting is helping to create and sustain.
In Horry County right now, we have almost 61 facilities. We're building 5 new net zero energy schools. We've got 44,000 students. I've been working on a commercial scale organics collection program for about the last 18 months. So we started off and we piloted a program at 2 elementary schools and 1 middle school at the beginning of the school year, and since then we've actually expanded it to all 26 elementary schools. With the program, we collect actually between 400 and 1,000 pounds of food waste at any particular school on a daily basis, which is far more than I initially anticipated. District-wide, we can collect about 7 tons of compostable material on a given day. We saw that we were measuring environmental literacy, we were decreasing the amount of waste that was going into the landfill, and we were actively diverting some of this compostable material. The environmental literacy component was the biggest win for our school district. Seeing the students interact with their food waste in a way that they weren't doing before, and they were actually able to turn their cafeteria into this interactive learning laboratory.
In our cafeteria, the students are responsible for sorting their own lunch. They sort the landfill from the recyclables into the organic material that we can use for the composting in our garden.
It is a difficult task, but I think that they've done great. And I think once they saw the tons and tons of food that we were able to compost and that we were able to cut down our amounts of trash bags each day.
Composting in the lunchrooms, I mean, they're learning different ways to organize their trash so then it doesn't go into the landfill.
Here at Lakewood Elementary School, the composting program has been so beneficial, not just to the students and faculty, but also to the cafeteria and custodial staff. In the cafeteria, it makes it so much easier for us because the majority of our waste goes into the composting bin.
They are actively engaged in closing the loop on their food waste, which has been very, very impressive. The students are doing this in their cafeterias at school, but now they're also taking it home. And I've had parents that have come up to me and say, my daughter was, at school and they started composting, and now we're doing it at home. In South Carolina, we're not just teaching our students to be less bad, but we're teaching them how to be good environmental stewards.
That is good.